All right, let's take a look at the some of our weather headlines here the next couple of days. Have you stepped outside? It's hot. I had some folks working on our yard yesterday. They came by, and I thought I'd ask. Said, "Hey, does this seem out of the ordinary to you?" No, it's summer. I said, "Sure enough, it does. It is summer indeed." So heat index, today, really through the next couple of days, is going to be in that upwards 100, and again, that's pretty normal for this time of year. It's not something that we certainly enjoy by any means, but it is something that we'll have to deal with here in the short term. So gradual cooling trend, and I use the term cooling relatively because it's still going to be very hot. But what it will do is offer up better rain chances instead of our highs being in the low 90s, maybe some upper 80s will be in the forecast as we head towards the weekend. And we'll have to talk about some tropical nonsense that's currently afoot. Oh, look at the big picture here. You see those big blue H's. High pressure typically is a something that will resist convective activity. It works against rising motion. You think of convection, that's, the surface heats during the day, air rises, and you get your thunderstorms. High pressure is pushing down on the Earth's surface. It subdues convection and typically leads to less rain coverage, though in the summertime, heat can often overcome that, but very little in terms of coverage here today. We look over the Tennessee Valley, Huntsville over into Mississippi, just a couple very small thunderstorms. And what you'll see often with these, you see how there's little blips popping up around there? That's cool air outflow. So as one storm collapses, that cool air that comes out with that rain, as that whole volume scan of the storm comes down, that will surge out ahead. It'll cool the surrounding area, and that in turn will develop an additional thunderstorm. So we see a lot of that here in the summertime. Sea breeze thunderstorms, another very common feature down in the Florida Panhandle, most south of I-10, but north of the beach along US 98 there. And again, these will carry high volume of lightning, some heavy rain, but that's about it. So the story, indeed, heat index. Who cares what the temperature is? I know I don't. When I walk outside and you see, on your weather station, it's 92 degrees, great. Well, it feels like 97 in Birmingham, 101 in Sylacauga, 102 in Tuscaloosa. So it certainly feels hot if you're out and about. And as for the heat levels, let's go to our heat advisory map here. And this is something that we can hit almost any day in the summertime across the South, especially in central southern Alabama. But this is a heat advisory map, and you can see all of central Georgia, central Alabama, southwest Alabama, and the Wiregrass. Yes, not technically in it, but it is as hot there, if not hotter, than everywhere else. So this is a kind of a common theme we see here in the summertime. Here's part of why that is. So we go to the upper level map, and you see right where everything's circulating around. That is our upper level high. Also notice where we have those darker oranges. Those are higher heights. Warm air is thicker. It takes up more space within the atmosphere. So you've got those higher height levels where that really warm air is. And you see that over the Tennessee Valley, over Kentucky. Now watch what happens. This is Wednesday, 7 a.m. Watch what happens as we progress through the day on Wednesday. Stays pretty solidly in place. But we're going to start to watch this fizzle, okay? We no longer have those really high atmospheric heights. In fact, you look down over the Florida Peninsula, and now you've got an upper level low, which does the opposite. That's going to add to convective activity as we head into the weekend. So while it won't rain every day, this will be more of a setup that we're used to. Perhaps one that, we're dry until about 12, 1 o'clock, and then with more unstable air, with more moisture in play, we will see daily scattered showers and thunderstorms, 40 to 60% almost every day, Friday onward. And you see Saturday, that low is basically centered right over Tallahassee, and will continue to just spin in place right over the southeast. And this will just continue our rain chances as we head into next week. Speaking of, here's a look at Wednesday's rain chance. This is the NDFD, so this is a probabilistic outlook of rain coverage on Wednesday. And see, our highest levels will be where you see the darker green: Auburn, Troy, Dothan, Andalusia, Monroeville, Montgomery. But a lot of central and northwest Alabama is likely to remain dry. Now, on the same token, anything that forms, when you think about it being, 92, 93, 95 degrees outside, heat is energy for these thunderstorms. The higher the heat values, the better the more fuel that's available in theory for these thunderstorms. There's other factors to that, obviously, but that certainly is one of those key ingredients that we talk about with convection in the summertime. So with that said, anything that develops tomorrow will have the potential to grow very tall in the atmosphere, very strong vertical motion with that heat imbalance. And then with that, you can have some strong downbursts. You can have very heavy rain, gusty winds. Of course, lightning comes with just about everything. So here's a look at the HRRR. This is tomorrow at about 4 o'clock. And you notice where we have that slight risk area. Again, southeast Alabama, southern Georgia, and even into parts of the Carolinas. That's where our coverage will be better. Remember, that upper level high is slowly losing its focus, its strength over the southeast, and we're likely to see better convection because of that. And again, this is at 7 o'clock. The greatest coverage from Atlanta right down the I-85 corridor towards Montgomery, and that'll be the focal point. Again, some of these will drift into northern Alabama, but I think our coverage remains fairly sparse tomorrow, and will only be getting more widespread as we head throughout the week, and that low starts to firmly take place and be much more of an influence on our local weather. So here's highs Wednesday. Jeez, 99 Montgomery, 95 in Birmingham, 98 in Tuscaloosa. It's worth noting we've underachieved a couple days with our highs, and part of that has to do with how much rain we've had over the last month and a half. There's more water at the surface of the soils, and that's actually keeping us from the actual temperature getting to the mid-90s. However, it's not helping our heat index at all, because that moisture added into the environment makes it feel incredibly sultry, very oppressive. So again, just kind of splitting hairs there, but if you've wondered why our actual high readings in some spots have been 2 to 3 degrees below what models have indicated, a lot of that has to do with the water present at the surface. Water has a very high specific heat, so when there's water present, it takes longer, it takes more energy to move the needle a degree versus a very dry air mass. But again, our heat index has been plenty high. Thursday, we start to see those heat levels come down. It's all very relative. It's still going to be hot, but instead of our highs reaching low to mid 90s each day, we're talking upper 80s to low 90s. And again, it's a small difference. It's one that you'll still walk outside and notice it's hot, but with these daily afternoon downpours, it will make a difference. Here's Saturday afternoon. Again, you see 87s, 88s, 89s, 92s. And a lot of that will be product of better convection, more cloud cover around, and that'll be the case into Sunday as well. So the extended forecast here certainly calling for warm summer-like weather, but nothing to the extreme or way anomalous to the point where you don't want to step outside, period. So CPC 14, 8 to 14 day outlook. This is right through the first week in July. And again, this is small confidence or low confidence and slightly above average temperatures for the southeast. Better chance of that will be over the Florida Peninsula during that time period. So typical summertime heat, you can put it on cruise control because it's not going anywhere until late August. I will say this, with that low setting up, that upper low, it's almost impossible to nail convective thunderstorms and the amount of rain they're going to put out. But the overall setup, I think, with this low being in place versus that big ridge, that high, is going to mean for just better rain chances on a day-to-day basis, starting really on Thursday, Friday, and through the Alabama weekend. And that's why you're seeing some of these WPC numbers go up. Again, it will never look like this. There will be places over the next 7 days that don't get a drop of rain. There'll be others that get 2+. That's just usually how it works. But the general higher number here tells me, okay, our coverage on a day-to-day basis will probably be higher. For those headed to the beach, I get this question a lot. Say, hey, my app's showing a thunderstorm icon every day. Well, I showed you the radar down there just a few minutes ago. You have thunderstorms almost every day, part of the sea breeze front, but they don't stay along the immediate coast. In fact, most of them initiate right at or just north of the beaches and move inland. Now, with that in mind, you hear thunder, just go inside, or don't be out in the middle of the beach during that time. But you'll have plenty of sunshine, good stretches where there's no rain or thunderstorms. Again, it's one of those things, if you look at an app, if you look at a forecast, it's going to show the thunderstorm icon. It rarely rains all day at the beach, especially this time of year. You almost have to have a low present or some other feature besides the sea breeze front. Speaking of lows and the tropics, this has a name. This is Andrea. This is way out in the North Atlantic. I'll give you some perspective here. Yep, that's not the most. If I told you find the most threatening thing on this tropical map, you might look elsewhere because that just isn't doing a whole lot. Again, here's your tropical waves that come off the African coast. These are typically what we watch as they move out into the Atlantic in this main development region here. And it's been a very quiet start to the tropical season. Beryl last year was anomalous in the sense that it was a very strong, one of the strongest, broke several records. Of course, earliest Cat 5, strongest June hurricane. I believe it had the cumulative energy, the greatest we'd ever had for any storm in June, but none of that nonsense, at least to this point, just Andrea, which will stay well away from any sort of land. So with that in mind, the tropical outlook is very quiet. Always a good thing to see. We have a long way to go. Tropical season runs through November 30th, and we are likely to see that development pick up here as we head into July and into August. So that's your afternoon outlook. We'll have another update coming up later on this evening. If anything changes, be safe outside, enjoy the summertime heat, and we'll catch you next time.